Hey everyone, welcome back. We are beginning the year talking about a very practical subject because I've decided that this year I'm gonna be smart about the things that I buy, and I thought it would be productive and helpful to share with you 6 of my outerwear pieces that I believe to be complete essentials. So these are the pieces that if I didn't have in my wardrobe, I would actually go out and buy because I get so much use out of them. And as with any other fashion video on this channel, it is geared towards those who are looking for a more classic, more elegant, more elevated style. So I do think a few of these pieces are kind of universal when it comes to style, but just so you know, that's the aesthetic we're going for today. So without further ado, let's bring in the coats. Here they are. So here I have a selection that covers a bunch of different situations that work in different degrees of coldness. So depending whether you're at the beginning of the winter season, depending if you live in a more extreme climate or a more temperate climate, these will cover you in different situations and scenarios. Of course, adapt this to your reality. This is something that has been pointed out to me in my how to layer video. I'll leave it here if you want to watch it. That maybe my choices weren't the best for polar temperatures, and these I believe aren't as well. So, you know, just don't die of cold. That is the main message here. Let's begin with the piece that I believe to be the most democratic and the easiest to find, which is a classic robe coat. It is a must-have if you're looking for that sleek, very sophisticated look. Because it has those clean lines, it will pair beautifully with so many different pieces and different ways of styling. It also can add an edge to your wardrobe. So maybe you're more of a contemporary style lover, maybe you like things to look a little bit more current, a little bit more fashion forward. This is great as a base. Of course, mine is in a classic cut. If you want to look trendy, maybe go for something in an oversize, maybe with different proportions, but you get the gist. It's such a no-brainer. You just throw it on and it immediately kind of wraps things up in a way. So maybe you're wearing something very casual and you throw a robe style coat on and it looks more elevated, or if you're going out in the evening and you're dressed up, this looks cohesive with that. It doesn't look mismatched. So great piece to have. A few key elements to keep in mind. First of all, the collar. This sort of notch collar is so versatile because when you leave it open, it looks very clean, very suit-like. So again, adding that refinement, that elegance, but it actually allows you to pop it up. So maybe if it is a little bit colder or you just want to look a bit more laid back, a little bit more modern, popping up your collar, closing it off will give you a totally different look. This is the type of coat you're going to find in any store. It is a classic for a reason and it's redone season after season after season. So be very mindful of the quality of the coat that you're getting because you need it to keep you warm, but also given that it has very clean lines, if it is done in a bad material, flimsy material, poorly cut, poorly sewn together, it will show immediately. So if you want that luxurious feel, go for something that looks a bit more high-end. Mine is actually from Zara, but this is one of their partnerships with Lanificio Manteco, which is a wool producer here from Italy. So even though it is fast fashion, it is a bit of a step up and you can feel it. This is very warm. The wool of it is not perfect, but I think this is maybe 5-6 years old and I have been wearing it time and time again and it always looks good. The shoulders look good, the lapel looks good, the length looks good. If you can afford something in maybe a wool drap, perhaps an alpaca or even a cashmere, and you have the budget for it, get it. It's a piece that will, again, get you your money's worth. Second piece would be a swing coat. These are not as fashionable or as current as a robe style, but if you love that more retro kind of chic 1950s aesthetic, you have to get yourself a swing coat. The defining factor of the swing coat is that trapeze shape. So hanging it up like this, you can see it, but on the little video right here, you'll see that it is not tight to the body. So it gives you that swing, that movement, which I feel adds a bit of drama, a bit of interest to a look that not many coats do. You will find many different colors in coats, but I think that with a swing coat, if you want to go for that 1950s aesthetic, a funnel neckline is perfection. It will not only sort of cover your neck from the wind, from the elements, but it also just adds a bit of height, a bit of beautiful posture when you're walking around. But you could also get it in a shawl color, a classic kind of ball color like Peter Pan color is really nice as well. Something else that defines a swing coat are the sleeves. You will see that the sleeves are way wider. I love this because, again, it gives movement to the arms. It also allows space to layer this. So maybe you want to add a chunkier sweater. If you were to throw on a tight jacket, you would be, you know, kind of walking around like a little robot. This allows you movement. You can also throw on a little jacket underneath this and you would be fine. And this is the perfect type of sleeve to combine with elbow length gloves. I think it looks so charming, so chic, so unexpected, yet deadly fabulous. So if you're going for that look, this is the coat to pair it with. Third one would be a country jacket. This is my partner, my ride or die for running errands on the weekends, for going for a little stroll when I'm wearing something casual. It just looks casual enough that it doesn't seem like you're dressing up for no reason, but it's still better than just a simple kind of plain jacket. It still has some detail, and I think it's very reminiscent of that kind of English countryside-esque aesthetic that I just love. Pairing this with jeans, maybe some loafers or some Chelsea boots and a simple white shirt, it just looks like you're going to the pub to have a Sunday roast, you know? Not like you're just going to do unglamorous tasks all day long. The one I have has this sort of quilted surface. I think it's nice, but if I could find it in a more sartorial version, like a true hunting jacket, perhaps in a houndstooth or in a Glen check, I think it would be perfection. A few key elements to keep in mind. Number one, the length. This can vary a lot when we talk about country jackets, but mine hits kind of mid-bum. I think covering a little bit of your hips really helps to create a more elongated silhouette. However, being it a bit longer, I do think that something cinched in gives you a more feminine look, either by the cut of it, either if it has a little belt or something to wrap around your waist. Mine also has a little adjustment with buttons in the back to if you want to really cinch it in. So when I think, for instance, of barber jackets that they are really big, really loose, those for me are way more casual. Something like this is a bit more sleek, a little bit more chic. And also details here are key, like corduroy inserts, like leather trimming, like little snap buttons. And then in terms of color, I would go for more nature-like colors like an army green, a moss green, a brown. I would avoid too colorful of an option because it will be harder to style, but also I think it kind of makes it look less British. If there are any Brits in the audience, give us your thoughts on this. Are we playing dress up or does this make any sense to you? Number 4 is a practical yet pretty heavy duty coat. This is the heaviest coat that I own. It keeps me warm every winter. It's not as heavy as it could be, but I don't need it. If you live in a place that has even lower temperatures than northern Italy, by all means try and find something in a better material, maybe something that is thermal controlled, something in a down. This is the first thing that you want to get out of the way. What are the materials that you need to keep yourself warm? What are the features in the coat? Like, do you need a hood? Do you need it to close all the way up? Do you need it to be a little bit longer? Do you need it to be water repellent? All those features need to be checked. Otherwise, you're going to spend money on a coat and end up not wearing it. But once you have those things out of the way, you can start having fun. I personally wanted to find a coat that one had a color palette that would make sense with my wardrobe. It has a double-faced feature, which I love. So you're basically getting two coats in one. But it has on one side the black and white pattern that, even though it's a pattern, is very wearable and very easy to style. And it also is a tan on the other side. Very much in line with the neutrals that I love to wear. Pairs well with an array of different colors. If I'm feeling a little bit more, you know, playful that day, I want to throw on a green, want to throw on a navy, it still makes sense together. I also wanted something that didn't look too puffy. So on one side you will see that it doesn't have any type of quilting. It looks like a very streamlined coat. It also has the little tie belt, which will add a bit of an hourglass feel. We'll talk about that in a second. And then on the other side, the quilting has an horizontal kind of wider pattern. So again, not like this, not too quilted that makes it look too sporty. This is also a button up, so instead of a zipper that can also look a little bit too technical, it just is almost like a double breasting. If you want to have an isolated environment inside of your coat, maybe this isn't the best alternative, but for my reality, it works. In terms of shape, like I said, mine is longer. It hits around my knees and has an hourglass shape thanks to the little tie belt. I think that just like with the working jacket, if you can find something that is a bit more constructed, a little bit more feminine in its silhouette, it will look better, it will look a little bit more put together. But I have seen alternatives of parkas and coats that are big, are puffy, but still look beautiful, look extremely refined. I'll link down below, again, a list of coats that I would buy if I had to, just so that you know what I'm talking about, because it's hard to illustrate. Just be selective all of the time. I think this is the lesson here. Even if you need practicality, try and find the prettiest version of practical that you can afford. Number 5 is a wool poncho. I have talked about ponchos in 80% of my videos, so excuse the incessant repetition, but I just love the concept of ponchos. They give movement to your look, they give drama, they cover you up snugly without looking like a homeless person, but that all depends on how you style it. This will not substitute a coat if it is too cold outside, but you know, I have worn this when maybe it's not negative Celsius, but perhaps it is 8, 10. You throw this over a cashmere, maybe throw on some gloves with a heat protecting layer underneath, and you don't even need a coat, to be quite honest. However, the main feature that you need if you're planning on wearing this as outerwear is material. I'm all for having fun with fashion, getting yourself an H&M version if you're just going to combine it with something warmer. But if you want this to be your outer layer, it has to at least be wool. This is 100% wool. It is also double phase, has lighter brown, darker brown. This was my grandmother's, so it's very near and dear to my heart. It's also longer, so it covers my legs. That is another little element to keep in mind. Don't go for something too short, because in the cold, you will feel that breeze coming up down there. But I just love this, especially for nighttime looks. If you're going to the theater, if you're going out to dinner, maybe you're not going to be in contact with the coat that much, but you just want to cover up a little bit, something to keep you cozy, keep you warm. It's like wearing a little blanket. You can jazz it up, maybe adding a little brooch. You can throw on a scarf underneath for a little bit of color, a little bit of vivacity, brightness. It's an absolute must, absolute must. If you want to look like a lady who lunches, get yourself a poncho. And on the topic of lady who lunches, can we just give an honorable mention to the lady jacket? I've done a whole video about this, so I'm not gonna talk about it extensively again. I'll link it here if you want to watch it. But it's just like the poncho, the perfect pairing for those seasons that are maybe in transition. So perhaps not the dead of winter, but the beginning of fall, the beginning of spring, when you can get away with adding something a little bit more delicate as an outer layer. It just adds an air of grace, an air of pristine fantasy to an outfit. My non-negotiables for a lady jacket are the boxy shape. Of course, this is a classic. The jewel neckline, which I've learned that's what it's called when it's a crew neck in a jacket. It's a jewel neckline, which is perfect because you can totally pair a bunch of necklaces with this type of neckline. Great, again, just like the poncho, to pair it with a cashmere roll neck, so you get yourself a really good warm base, but finish it off with something that looks dressy, that looks chic, that looks polished. That is basically what I wish I was in jacket form. This is it, everyone. These are the 6 outerwear pieces that I believe if you love an elegant aesthetic you need to have in your wardrobe. There are so many more out there, but I think that having this as your base will get you covered throughout winter in a multitude of occasions, different styling, different colors. You can really play around with just these 6 pieces. Again, remember to keep in mind the temperatures that you're going to have to face, so don't die for style. Might sound heroic, but it's actually tragic. Hope you enjoyed this or found this helpful, and we will see each other again next time. Bye bye.